Hi, how are you? We're going to talk about why people stay broke. Now, look, I don't like talking like that, and it sounds very judgmental. However, I will say that I have seen a lot of people just taking a passive role in their business and waiting for things to just work out before taking action in their business. And here's how it usually plays out. I'll see somebody say, I can't afford X or this thing because my business isn't earning enough money yet. But the thing is, maybe your business isn't earning enough money yet because you haven't figured out a way to afford X. Like if I told you if you spend $5,000, you'll get back $20,000, wouldn't you figure out a way to get the $5,000? So I think part of it is not necessarily believing that the investment in this is going to lead to more revenue, and that might be a big mindset thing. But I think it's also just expecting that we should have this business that operates a certain way before we spend any money on it. And that's just not the way things work. I think of this a lot of the same way as motivation. I don't know if you've heard this before, but people will say you have to take action before you have motivation rather than waiting to have motivation before taking action. Like if I'm going to exercise, which I don't do nearly enough, but if I'm going to exercise, I can't wait until I feel like it. I have to just start doing it even though I don't feel like it. And then I start feeling like it. It's actually just the same thing with even just taking simple walks in the morning. I never feel like putting on, tennis shoes and getting all dressed and going outside in the morning before I start anything else and taking a walk. But as soon as I step outside, it's the best place to be. And it's kind of the same thing with money. You have to actually put something into it before you get something out of it. The last video that I posted was all about how to actually grow your business if you don't have the money to do it. It was more the how to. This video is going to be more the mindset behind that whole concept. And so in that video, I talked about how your business is a return on investment machine. How much money do you get back whenever you put money into it? And it might not be money that you're putting into it. It might be time, it might be energy, it might be working for somebody else for free in return for services from them. Whatever it is, you have to put something in to get something out. It doesn't matter if your return on investment in that business is 10,000%. If you put in zero, 0 times 10,000% is still zero. And yes, there is a risk. There's always a risk that it won't work out. There's a risk that you'll spend the money on something expecting a big return on an investment, and then it just doesn't do anything. It flops. It's happened to me. Just last year, I spent over $6,000 on something that I thought was going to be great for my business. And halfway through the process, I realized this was the wrong move. It wasn't going to do what I needed it to do. And so I had a choice to make. I could either finish out the engagement, which was going to cost me another $4,000, and I would probably end up with something I wasn't happy with, or I could just pull the plug and say, you know what, it's just $6,000 gone, and I learned a lot from it. And I decided to pull the plug. I figured that that was a better move than wasting more money on something that I didn't believe in anymore. But here's the thing. I don't consider that $6,000 as wasted. I consider that as education. It was a really expensive tuition to figure out what I need to do in the future whenever I was analyzing things like that. And so if you're limited on money and you don't know how to start investing in your business whenever you don't hardly have anything to invest in the first place, or maybe you don't have any money to invest into your business in the first place, you have time. And that may be the only thing you can invest in your business. And in that last video, we talked about how every business has barriers to entry, things that people have to pay for or do, or time that has to be spent before the business can get off the ground. If you're operating with little to no money, then maybe your investment in your business is not money. Maybe it's figuring out what barrier to entry is easy for you. What skills or knowledge or experience do you have that can make some of those barriers easier for you than they would be for other people? And if there's something there, whether it's website development or email marketing or ad campaigns or whatever, do that. Do as much of that as possible, because that didn't cost you anything. It's just your time. But the point is, you do have to put something into the business for it to put something out. I really don't believe in the idea of passive income. I don't think passive income truly exists, except maybe if you just have a ton of money invested in the market in something long-term and safe, and it pays off enough interest or enough growth for you to be able to live on. But even things like rental real estate and real estate properties and things that are typically considered to be passive, those still require management. Things break, tenants leave, you have to replace them. Even if you have a property management company, you have to manage that management company. If you sell an online course that you think is going to be passive or some sort of other digital product, you have to constantly be updating that and marketing it. It's not passive. Every single business requires some sort of input, whether it's time, energy, money, or all three of them. You have to put something in before you can get something out. And so that's why I say if somebody says, I can't afford this because my business isn't earning enough, then I'd question that premise. Is it that you can't afford it because your business isn't earning enough? Or is it that you need that thing in order for your business to start earning what you need it to earn? More likely, though, it's probably actually that you don't truly believe that paying for this thing is going to generate more money than it costs. And that's a different conversation. Now, I think it's important to be honest with yourself about what the thing actually is. Is it that you think it would be a good thing for your business, but you just can't afford it right now? Okay, then everything that you do needs to be focused on affording it, figuring out a way to pay for it if you truly believe that it's going to be transformative for your business. But if you don't believe it's going to be worth it, if you don't believe there's going to be a return on investment there, then I think that's worth exploring. Let's give a concrete example. Let's say that, because it's something I do, let's say it's Profit First implementation. We help clients implement Profit First in their business. If you haven't heard of it, Profit First is a book written by a guy named Mike Michalowicz. It's a cash flow management system to help smooth things out in your business. And it involves setting up multiple bank accounts to track where money is going and to direct where it's going to go before it leaves your business without your approval. And when we set these systems up for our clients, it's done through several one-on-one phone calls where we walk you through the exact steps of doing it. And we charge for it. We charge for setting these things up. We charge for those phone calls. And so let's say you're considering that service and you say, hey, look, I just don't have the money to pay for this right now. I think it's great, but I don't have the money to pay for it. But what if you knew that if you did the thing, if you set up Profit First in your business, that it would help you be able to afford not only that, but so much more, and it would take your business to the next level? Then we would figure out a way to pay for it. But if you don't truly believe or understand what the Profit First system, or whatever it is that you're considering, would do for your business, then that's something different. I think it's worth, as the business owner, to figure out, why is it that I don't think this is worth it? Do I not believe that this person can implement this in my business? Do I not believe that by implementing this in the business, it would even help my business? Do I not see that I have an issue with cash flow and so it's solving a problem I don't have? Whatever it is, it's worth going through the process of figuring that out. And I think that's actually the responsibility of any service provider that's pitching you services. I don't consider myself a good salesperson. I do think that it's our responsibility to say, hey, you've identified this problem that you have. I have this solution that I believe can help you solve that problem. And here's the proof that I have that has worked for other people. And so if the service provider that you're talking to hasn't done that, they haven't gone through the process of helping you figure out if this is something valuable to you and if it's worth the investment, then that's honestly on the service provider. That's not on you. But if you are talking to somebody and you don't know if it's worth it, have that conversation with them. I've talked to so many vendors and so many salespeople, and I've asked, can you show me how this is going to be a positive return on my investment in this? There's some things that you pay for where the return on that investment might just be the time that you save. Maybe the person you're paying or the service you're paying for isn't actually as good as you doing it yourself, but you've identified that it doesn't have to be as good as you can do it. It could just be good enough. And the time that you save from not having to do it yourself is spent better doing something else. But ideally, whenever you pay somebody for services, you're not only saving the time that it would take you to do it, they're also doing a better job than you could ever do it. And so you're paying for not just the time you save, but also their expertise and whatever lift and value you get for that. I'll give you an example. I love cutting the grass. I hate weed eating, edging. I hate all that stuff. And whenever I try to do all of it, it takes me hours. It takes me way too long. And at the end of the process, I'm exhausted, I'm winded. The whole day is basically gone because I don't have any energy to do anything else. And it doesn't even look as good as somebody else doing it. So last year, I finally hired somebody to do all of it for me, and they do all of it in way less time than I can do it. They have the commercial equipment needed to do it quickly. They have a team of people who comes out and takes care of things, and they do all of it every single time. And it might only take them 30 minutes to an hour, but I realized that I'm not paying them for their time. I'm paying them for the time it saved me and the fact that it got done even better than I ever could have done it myself. So I know that if I take that time that I could have spent doing my own yard work and instead I put that into the business, that I can earn way more than I'm paying them to do the yard. Or I can just take that time to spend with the family and do things that I much prefer doing than sweating in the grass trying to get everything looking perfect, just knowing that I'm gonna have to do it again the next week. So if you find yourself looking at an expense and you say, oh, I wish I could afford this, but I really don't have the money for it, I encourage you to do two things. First, think of, do I really believe that this would be that transformative for my business? What is the return on this investment? And why do I think it would be a good idea? Or do I think it would be a good idea? And if you don't truly believe that the value of this investment is there, then it's not that you can't afford it. It's just that you don't believe in it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's helpful to acknowledge that, because what happens is if we think it could be valuable, or we trick ourselves into thinking the only reason we're not buying it is because we can't afford it, then whenever we do get money later, we go and we sign up for the thing, even though we might not have ever actually believed that it was worth it for us. But if you go through that process and that first step and you say, no, I actually do think that this could be valuable, I do think that I can earn more than this cost me, then I think the next step is to figure out, okay, then what's the hang up? Why wouldn't you go out and figure out a way to pay for this? Whether it's canceling other services that you're not getting as much of a good return on investment from, or finding money from other places, or setting money aside to start being able to pay for it whenever you can. Why wouldn't you be doing those things? If my car that my teenage daughter drives has all these notifications coming up and I don't believe it's safe for her to drive, I'm going to figure out how to get it fixed before letting her get behind the wheel again. It doesn't matter how much it costs to get it fixed. We're going to figure it out. Whether or not my business can afford, or we can afford to pay for that fix, we're going to have to do it. And so if I believe that there's a problem in my business that is holding it back, then why wouldn't I treat that with the same urgency? Why wouldn't I figure out a way to make it work if I really did believe that this thing could be transformative for my business and for my clients or from your readers? So that's my rant for today. I just think we all need to take more responsibility for our own businesses and not say, well, I can't afford it, so I can't have it. Instead, I think we need to be more active participants in our business and figure out, is it something that's worth it? And if it is, then how can I figure out how to pay for this? I will give you a profit first hack. If you really can't afford it, but it's something that you think could be helpful, set up a new bank account specifically for that thing, and then just start putting any excess money or a certain percentage of your income into that thing. Like if you know that you need professional help getting a tax return filed, but you just can't afford tax prep fees, figure out what it is and start setting that money aside in advance. Then you'll have that money to be able to pay for it whenever you need it, instead of just hoping that the money exists the next time you need help with filing your tax return. Okay, in other news, the bookstore's coming along, the painting's done, the warehouse is built, they're insulating it and doing cooling and all that this week. I'm thinking everything's going to be totally done in the next week or two, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, because everything takes longer than you think. So I'm super excited about that. Yesterday I successfully changed my laptop battery, and I had no idea just how much your battery affected everything else on your laptop. I just thought like, yeah, it's power. And if there's no power, then it won't turn on. But apparently your laptop will throttle how much resource goes to different things based on the power consumption. And so if your battery's degraded, it'll make everything run slowly, which I didn't know that was a thing. So I changed my laptop battery yesterday. It cost me like $125 for the replacement battery, maybe an hour of time in a YouTube video and a whole lot of sweating because I didn't know what I was doing. But I got it replaced, and now my laptop is running like it's brand new. I don't think it's ever been this fast. Everything on it's just better. So quick way of saving some money instead of having to buy a whole new laptop. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm way brighter in this than I normally am. So that's cool, I guess. I don't know if I did something different with the lighting, but I hope this was helpful. I really don't mean to call people broke or to be mean or anything. I just think that maybe we could take more responsibility for our own businesses and really be honest with ourselves whenever we're analyzing expenses and say like, it's not that I can't afford this, it's just I don't believe in it, or whatever the actual case is. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm supposed to have some sort of call to action in here. If there's something that you have thought that maybe you couldn't afford, but then you realize that it's something you actually needed for your business, put that in the comments. Or is there something that you're considering paying for and you're just not sure if the value's there? Put that in the comments. I'm curious to hear what that is. And I will see you next time.